Airbnb. How a mattress on the floor devoured your cities, your apartments, and your conscience. San Francisco, 2007, Friday. 23 hours, 47 minutes. Two guys are sitting in a kitchen. They have no money for rent. In 3 days, they will be thrown out onto the street. On the floor, an air mattress. On the table, a box of cereal. In the air, the smell of desperation and cheap coffee. One of them, Brian Chesky, says a sentence that 10 years later will destroy the housing market in 220 countries around the world. What if we rent this mattress to someone for the night? Remember this kitchen. Remember this mattress. We will come back here, but when we do, you will look at this scene with completely different eyes. In a few minutes, you will learn how $40 boxes of cereal, a grandmother from Barcelona who lost the home she had lived in for 62 years, and one dead raccoon in a bathroom in Texas tie into Airbnb. Do not change the channel. The raccoon, that matters. Airbnb is valued at $74 billion, more than Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt combined. The company does not own a single hotel, not a single pillow, not a single towel. On the platform, more than 7.7 million listings. In 220 countries, more than 1.5 billion guest nights have passed through Airbnb. 1.5 billion nights. And all of it grew out of an air mattress. A beautiful story, isn't it? Two guys, a kitchen, a great idea. The world will never be the same. But wait. Do not rush to admire it, because soon I will tell you what this beautiful story did to real people. To people who had homes, had neighbors, had cities, had cereal for the president. October 2008, the money ran out again. Investors said no 20 times. And then they did something insane. They bought cheap cereal, packed it into boxes with caricatures of Obama and McCain, called them Obama-O's and Captain McCain's, sold them for $40 a box. They made $30,000. That was enough money not to shut down. A company that today is worth more than the GDP of 120 countries in the world survived thanks to cereal boxes with Obama's face on them. If the founders are willing to sell cereal for $40, repackaging a cheap product in a pretty box with a story, imagine what they will do once they learn to repackage your apartments. Answer honestly, only to yourself. Would you let a stranger into your home, into your bed? Would you give them keys? Would you go to work and leave a stranger alone among your things? No, yet millions of people do it every day. How did Airbnb make the whole world violate a basic instinct of self-preservation? They engineered trust, a profile with a photo, and your brain automatically decides, this is a person. I can trust them. Two-way reviews. You behave well, not because you are a good person, but because you are afraid of a bad review. Verification, passport, phone, social networks. Each layer adds a micro-layer of trust. None of them guarantees safety, but together they create a feeling of safety. And as it turns out, the feeling of safety and real safety are completely different things. I was a superhost for 4 years, 247 reviews, average rating 4.97. Then a couple from London checked in. Perfect reviews, full verification. They left after 3 days. The bathroom walls were covered in something red. The closet door was torn off. In the fridge, empty bottles and a note, "Sorry for the mess." Airbnb gave me $200. Repairs cost $4,700. Support replied 3 weeks later with a template email. Maria, Lisbon. Former superhost. The word former is the key. Barcelona. Rent has risen 68% over 10 years. In the Gothic Quarter, 1 in 5 apartments is on Airbnb. The neighborhood has lost 25% of its permanent population. Lisbon. Whole streets in Alfama without a single local resident. The average salary of a Portuguese worker, €1,100. The average rent in Lisbon, €1,200. Read that again. The average salary is less than the average rent. Her name is Rosario, 78 years old, Gothic Quarter. Since 1961, 62 years in one apartment. First, the bakery on the corner disappeared, replaced by a souvenir shop. Then the pharmacy closed, replaced by a cocktail bar with €14 drinks. Then neighbor Carmen left, An investor from Berlin bought her apartment. It showed up on Airbnb a week later. Charming apartment in the Gothic quarter, 2 minutes from the cathedral, 4.89. Then the suitcases started. Every day, clatter on the stairs. At 3 in the morning, drunk laughter. At 5 in the morning, doors slamming. Rosario did not sell her apartment. She had an old lease. The landlord could not evict her, but he could stop making repairs. In the winter of 2019, the heating broke. The landlord would not pick up the phone. Rosario spent the winter at 8 degrees Celsius, under 3 blankets. 7 apartments in the building. 6 Airbnb. 1 Rosario. In 2023, she moved to the suburbs, to her niece. Not because she wanted to, because she was exhausted. "I did not leave home. My home left me," she told a reporter from El País. A month later, her apartment appeared on Airbnb. Real Barcelona. Original tile. Apartment with character. New listing. Original tile. The same tile Rosario had walked on for 62 years. Have you ever booked an apartment in the center of a European city? Delighted in the authenticity, the ceramic tiles, the view of a narrow street? Did you ask who lived here before you? No, you are on vacation. Cheaper than a hotel. There is a kitchen. Live like a local, except there are no locals left. You are living instead of a local. I manage 34 units in 3 cities, a team of 12. I earn more than in consulting. Do I call myself a host? Of course. The platform wants that, but I am a businessman. I buy apartments, renovate to IKEA, professional photos, and onto Airbnb. Yield 15 to 25% a year. Do I know I am driving up prices in the neighborhood? I know. Does it bother me? I feed my family. David, London. 34 listings. Average rating, 4.92. Is David a bad person? A convenient conclusion, but wrong. David is you, or rather, who you would become if you had money and a platform that turns other people's homes into investment instruments. Airbnb does not create Davids. Airbnb creates conditions in which any rational person turns into a David, not to deceive you, but to build a system in which it pays to deceive yourself. Hidden cameras, death parties, and a dead raccoon. In 2019, a couple from New Zealand checked into an apartment in Ireland. The husband, an IT specialist, scanned the Wi-Fi. He found a device that should not have been there, a hidden camera, in the smoke detector, in the bedroom, live stream. In 2023, CNN published an investigation, dozens of confirmed cases of hidden cameras, in bedrooms, in bathrooms. Orinda, California, Halloween 2019. A woman rented a house. The booking said, quiet getaway, 12 people, more than 100 showed up, a party. Then, gunfire. 5 people died. Airbnb banned parties. But how can a platform that is not physically present at any property control what happens behind closed doors? It cannot. Houston, Texas, 2021. A family with 2 children. They arrive in the evening. Everything looks great. The photos match. In the morning, a child goes into the bathroom and starts screaming. In the tub, a dead raccoon. At least a week. The host does not pick up. Airbnb, voicemail, 45 minutes on hold, then disconnected. The money was refunded after 9 days. A dead raccoon in the bathroom. There is the entire sharing economy in one image. Pretty photos, 5 stars, superhost, and a dead animal behind the shower curtain because nobody checks. Airbnb earned $8.4 billion in revenue in 2023 without conducting a single sanitary inspection, not one. For the guest, you open the app, wide-angle photos. The apartment looks 30 to 40% larger, warm tones, fresh towels rolled up. You scroll. The same mechanism as on Instagram and Tinder, an endless feed of pretty pictures. Every swipe, a microdose of dopamine. You are not booking housing. You are booking a fantasy about yourself. For the host, a new booking. Someone chose your apartment. Dopamine. 5 stars. Dopamine. Superhost status. Dopamine. Money in the account. Dopamine. You optimize. Reply in seconds. Buy new towels. You are no longer the owner of the apartment. You are service staff with no sick leave and no employment contract. Airbnb built a perfect two-sided dependency. Guests depend on cheap housing. Hosts depend on income and approval. The city between them slowly dies, and every side thinks of itself as the victim. Guests. Hotels are expensive. There is no choice. Hosts. Salaries are low. There is no choice. Cities. We have no tools. Airbnb. We are just a platform. Nobody is guilty. Everyone suffers. The system works. Everything I have told you about greedy investors, algorithms, dying neighborhoods is true, but it is a comfortable truth. It lets you be a spectator, shake your head. How awful. Poor Rosario. And now, the uncomfortable truth. You are part of the system. Every time you book Airbnb instead of a hotel, you vote for this model. You are the demand that creates David's. You are the reason an investor buys out Rosario's apartment. But I only book once or twice a year. Yes. And there are millions of you. But I cannot afford a hotel. And why is that? In part, because housing prices rise because apartments leave the long-term rental market for Airbnb. The circle is closed. You are both victim and accomplice. Uncomfortable, but true. I am a journalist. I write about the harm Airbnb does to cities. I was in Lisbon, Barcelona, Prague, documenting how the platform kills neighborhoods. And every time I stayed in Airbnb, because it was cheaper, because the newsroom does not pay for hotels. Every time I felt like a hypocrite. Then I gave the host 5 stars. Great location, very clean, recommend. That journalist is not a hypocrite. He is a normal person in an abnormal system, like you, like me. Airbnb will not stop. The company has already launched the concept of Airbnb-friendly apartments, residential complexes built specifically for short-term rentals. Read that again. Homes where nobody lives. Conveyor belt homes. No neighbors, no communities, no memory. And Airbnb is growing fast in countries that have not yet faced the consequences. Southeast Asia, Latin America, Eastern Europe. Everything that happened to Barcelona and Lisbon will happen to Bali, Medellin, Tbilisi, only faster. These cities have even fewer resources for regulation. Morgan Stanley forecast, by 2030, the short-term rental market, $150 to $200 billion. More than the GDP of dozens of countries. The platform takes the profit of big business with the liability of a private individual. No sanitary inspections, no fire codes, no hotel-level taxes. So what do? 1. Do not demonize Airbnb. The platform is a symptom, not the disease. The disease is the system in which an apartment is an investment, not a place to live. 2. Own your role. Not a reason to swear off forever, a reason to think before you book. 3. Distinguish sharing from business. A person renting out a room in their own apartment and a person with 34 units are not the same. They should not be regulated the same way. 4. Remember the invisible. Behind every pretty listing with a 4.95 rating, there is a story, sometimes a success story, sometimes Rosario's story. San Francisco, 2007, Friday, 23 hours, 47 minutes. 2 guys in the kitchen, an air mattress, a box of cereal. What if we rent this mattress to someone for the night? Brian Chesky is not thinking about Rosario, not about the dead raccoon, not about hidden cameras, party shootings, dying neighborhoods. He is thinking about the mattress. And that is the whole problem, because every great idea starts with something small and innocent. Then it grows. And at some point, it stops being an idea and becomes a system. And a system does not care how many years Rosario lived on the 3rd floor. You will close this text now, and sooner or later, you will open the Airbnb app. You will start scrolling. Pretty photos, charming apartment, great location, 4.93, and you will book. Will you be thinking of Rosario when you do? Most likely, no. That is Airbnb's genius. They built a system in which knowing does not change behavior. You know everything, and you still book. Welcome to the economy of the 21st century. Make yourself comfortable. Feel at home. After all, it is someone's home.